This is the book of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 6, red letter. And blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me. All praises, all power, all glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakah Kodash. Yahweh being the name of the Father, who the world inwardly calls God. Yahweh, meaning he exists. Bahashem, meaning in the name. Yahushai, who the world inwardly calls Jesus Christ. His name is Yahushai, meaning he delivers. Yahi, Hawashai, deliverer. Bahashem, in the name. Rakah Kodash, Spirit Holy. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who teach well and rule well, who taught me this truth. Peace and salutation to the Akyam, the fellow laborers, the hopeful elect, pushing this truth at risk of their own lives throughout the four corners of the earth. And to the Akwath listening, the Akwathium, listening and learning in sincerity and truth, and in silence, Shalom. This is your brother Shema from the Pillars of Benjamin camp here in Toronto with another lesson. And we'll get right into it. Right, offenses will come. And this is part of the Lord's sifting. Matthew 11 verse 6, and it reads, red letter, Yahushai said this. And blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me. Right? Not offended in the Lord. Right? Yahushai. Yahushai is the word. John 1 verse 1. The words contained in the volume of this book are Yahushai, is Yahushai. Right? And it all goes back to being rooted, being firm. Right? And since I've been in the truth, every year, coming up on the Passover, going into the Passover, which is about 2 months away from now, right? You see a lot of falling away. You see a lot of Jake falling out of the truth, and it's usually because they're offended. Verse 7, and as they departed, Yahushua began to say unto the multitudes concerning John, talking about John the Baptist here, what went ye out into the wilderness to see? A reed shaken with the wind? Right? Yahushua is asking, what do you think? What did you think you were going to see concerning John? Right? A flip-flopper? A reed shaken in the wind. Flip-flopper? Not firm? Blowing about with every wind of doctrine? Right? Let's look at this in the Matthew 11 verse 7 in the NLT. And it reads, as John's disciples were leaving, Yahushua began talking about him to the crowds. What kind of man did you go into the wilderness to see? Was he a weak reed, swayed by every breath of the wind? Right? No, John the Baptist was firm. Right? And if you're not firm in this thing, you're not rooted in this thing, guess what's going to happen? Right? You're going to take offense. Right? Whether it be particular parts of the doctrine, particular scriptures, not rooted. What does it say in second Esdras? But ultimately it's the will of the Lord. Sirach 5 verse 9. And it reads, winnow not with every wind, winnow not. Right? You look at its word winnow. Let's look into it. To be blown in the wind. Winnow. Right? Old English. To fan, winnow. From wind, air, in motion. Right? You go down further. You go down further. You go down further. Right? Air and motion. You go down towards the bottom. There's a part in here that I saw when I was reading it. Salakia, bear with me. Right. Blowing. Right? To blow. Right down here. Right? So to be blown about, it says winnow not. So don't be blown about with every wind. Right? Doctrine. Philosophies. Right? Don't get caught up in that. Don't be blown about with the flat earth doctrine. The virgin birth. What else is a stumbling block? What did wacky tacky Christians say? The Trinity, right? And go not into every way, for so doth the sinner that hath a double tongue, right? A sinner, right? A flip-flopper. Salakia, a sinner that hath a double tongue, right? A sinner, an Israelite, 2/3, right? Double tongue, double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, roughly paraphrasing, right? The book of James, right? Flip-flopping back and forth, right? Harboring, being bitter, right? Right, there's recently, over the last day or two, someone came out offended with the Deuteronomy 22, the grape, right? And it's quite clear he's been offended for 7, maybe 8 years, 9 years, and it's just now he's speaking on it, right? That's bitterness. Right? Ephesians Slack here. Now we'll go back into Matthew 11. Matthew 11 verse 8. Red letter. But what went ye out for to see? A man clothed in soft raiment? Behold, they that wear soft clothing are in king's houses. Right? Once again speaking about John. Right? Describing his character. Right? He was a firm, rough, austere, right? Because it says here soft raiment, soft clothing is in king's houses, right? The John was firm. He was battle tested. He was seasoned. Verse 9, but what went ye out for to see? A prophet? Yeah, I say unto you, and more than a prophet. Right? So during our walk, during everyone's walk, during our walk in this thing, man, during our growth, right? You will encounter hard sayings. Let's get that. That's in John chapter 6. John 6 verse 58, red letter. This is that bread which came down from heaven, not as your fathers did eat manna and are dead. He that eateth of this bread shall live forever. Right, so the time of Yahushua and his disciples. Right, Yahushua saying this flew over the heads of many. These things said he in the synagogue as he taught in Capernaum. Verse 60, here's the point. Many therefore of his disciples, when they had heard this, said, this is a hard saying. Who can hear it? Right? They weren't able to receive it, man. They were offended. They were troubled. Some became bitter. Right? Let's look at this in John 6 and 60. And the NLT. Just a couple of precepts, you know? Feed the sheep, feed the lambs. Sime. John chapter 6. John chapter 6, verse 60. In the NLT. Many of his disciples said, this is very hard to understand. How can anyone accept it? You see that? All right. So this is where men will get offended, man. They can't accept it. They can't receive it. It's hard to understand. They're looking at things carnally. They're not walking in the spirit. Right? The whole grape thing is plain as day, man. It's plain as day. But yet it's hard to understand for many. Right? Salakia. I wanted to jump down from verse 60 to John 6, verse 66. From that time, many of his disciples went back and walked no more with him. Right? So because of these hard sayings, because Yahweh Shai was speaking about manna, and he was speaking in the spirit, and people couldn't understand it or receive it, and they couldn't accept it, guess what? They fell out. Right? John 6, verse 66. From that time, many of his disciples went back and walked no more with him. Right? They fell out. They went and did their own thing. They became a lone wolf, whatever it may be. But they fell out. They didn't walk with Yahweh Shai. And those same spirits are back. Right? That's why prayer is important. It's important you stay prayed up. You pray without ceasing. You know what I mean? And you continue to prophesy. And continue to teach the things that you've been taught. But the key thing is prophesying. The downfall of this wicked queendom. The downfall of America the Great, Babylon the Great. Doing the work. Stay prayed up. Pray without ceasing. Shalom to the hopeful elect.